is official with your recruits. I've got a couple questions on there, and I'll scatter through here. But the group as a whole, I feel like people might see it as having potential to be a transformative class for your group. Do you see it that way? And do you think you've been building up to a class like this in your recruiting as far as the high-end talent that's in that group?
Well, we're really excited to have those guys all on board. It is a offensive class with some elite offensive players in it. Michael Verlicki is the defenseman that is signed his NLI. He's a solid defenseman that has potential to be like Justin Schultz. That's the way Oz describes him. So from the back end side of things, we're adding a defenseman like that to the group. And then the forwards we added are all dynamic offensive players. I think Lindmark's probably the one guy that, from a two-way standpoint, is a solid center that's more of a both ends of the rink type of a player, where the other guys are offensive dynamic players. Turcotte, Holloway, and Caulfield are all premier offensive players. So that's an exciting class. It's one that we're certainly excited to have coming. We've been watching them for the last couple of years now. Most of them have been commits now for 2 years, so we watched their progress. They've all probably continued to grow as fast as we had hoped to, probably in some cases faster. So they'll be ready to jump in and help us offensively out of the gate.
With Holloway specifically, he's been on a track where it seems like he's taken off in the last couple of years. But you guys were on him early. What did you see in that early point before he, makes the Linka, Gretzky, Rester, and those guys?
Yeah, Dylan Holloway's he'll be a younger freshman next year, but he's a tremendous speed, strong on the puck. He's lighting it up offensively in his junior team right now. He's he skates as fast. He skates like Paul Ranheim. He's a left-handed Paul Ranheim. That's how he skates. He'll be a higher draft pick than Paul Ranheim, but that's the type of speed he has. Oz saw him a few years back, and right out of the, he called immediately. He said, "Hey, we got a kid that we got to bring in." And fortunately, he was a kid that is in a area where most of his teammates and friends go play major junior, so we got on him on time, got him to visit him before he had a chance to get taken up by a junior team, and we got him on campus. He loved campus, and so he's a special one, that's for sure.
Sticking with that, what makes Cole Caulfield so successful at whatever level he's played at?
Natural score, loves the puck around the net. Last year he was a goal within Austin Matthews' record at the program. He's on pace to do what Patrick Kane did at the program. Him and Turcotte together and Lindmark together, all three of them at the program have all been elite players at the program. So they're all guys that we're extremely excited to have on board. They're excited to be here. Two of them came in on their official visit last week. One of them is going to come later on during the year. The other two will probably come back with them. The part about the early recruiting and the commitments to get to know the kids for a greater length of time, for them to get to know your program, your staff, your players that are in place is really important. So I think that's been a fun thing for us to watch. And I think they're comfortable with what they're going to walk into next year. Obviously, Brock is already here for Cole's standpoint. They'll have the brothers, the Caulfield brothers, here next year, so that's kind of exciting to see as well.
Like Josh S. did last year, Vorlicki will be coming in right from Minnesota high school, and I'm sure he might get a USHL.
Yeah, he's a year older birth year wise.
But you guys, I would say, haven't had concerns about bringing guys right from high school levels. Jack Gorniak this year, Josh the year before. What do you need to see out of a player to know that they're going to be ready to make that kind of step up in level?
Yeah, I think physical maturity. I think the fact that he's a bigger kid, and those type of players probably. I think he's probably going to get drafted this year. those are 3-year players. And I'd rather have him at our program for 3 years than a year in the USHL and 2 with us. That's one of the factors. And the other factor is he's ready to play. If he wasn't ready, we'd have him play a USHL or another year somewhere else. But we think he's ready to play. We're going to lose Tishke this year. There's a chance we could lose another defenseman this year as well. So we need to add an elite defenseman that can come in and play, and Mike is that player.
I think I'm done with recruits, but do you have any updates on your injured guys? I mean, Linus, Daniel.
Daniel will not skate today. Doogie will not skate today. Linus will be on the ice. How much he does with us, we'll have to wait and see. He's possible for this weekend. I think as the week goes along, we'll learn more about that. I think next week's more realistic. This week's probably a little bit more of a long shot.
And too early to tell on the other 2 guys for this week?
Too early to tell.
Okay.
They're gonna get evaluated again today and see where they're at. But hopefully they'll be back on the ice this week, at least for practice.
With Linus, it seems like you're trying to find the right guy on the power play.
Yes.
Be on that left side, and maybe a couple different guys have tried it and hasn't just. It seems like you haven't found the real flow that you had with him in there over these last few
Correct,
weeks.
and that's been a big part of those games. That's the power play is. We had chances in both those games to keep us in the game or give us a chance in that game to get leads, and we weren't able to execute on the power play. So Linus is missed, but we're going to have to find ways without him to be productive, on the power play. And getting chances isn't good enough. We got to produce and we got to score. I thought, and you said it after Friday's game, late in the game, we had 3 or 4 great chances on that power play, but we got to find ways to get on the board there.
What were the conclusions you drew from that weekend series and where you are right now,
Yeah.
12 games in?
Yep, Ohio State was a better team. I thought Saturday's game was better. We played better. We stayed in the game, but they're a top 5 team for a reason. They were a team in Frozen Four last year that easily could have won the tournament last year, and they didn't lose a lot. So they were better in areas of the game that we have to grow this year as a team. We're going to get a chance to play them in a couple months, and we'll see where we're at then. But I think it was a good measuring stick for us to see right where we're at. So we're not quite there. They were the better team. They won the areas of the rink, the net fronts and the battle areas that generally lead to the team that wins the game. They won the majority of the confrontations in those areas. And that's something we'll have to grow and develop as the year goes along and see where we're at when we play them next time. But they are a great team. They played outstanding. Their goalie was big when we had 2 breakaways in the first period that could have given us the lead and changed the momentum of how those games were played. But they have what a elite team. They look like an elite team because in all aspects of the game, both power play, penalty kill, they were strong. Their goaltending was good. Defensively, they were big and strong and physical. And then, they got 4 lines that are pretty balanced. And then you got the superstar and Jobs that can be dominant every time he's on the ice.
They were obviously good at limiting your offensive zone time, but what can you do better as a team to get more sustained possession offensive zone?
Yeah, I think we have to use our quickness down there. I don't think we're an overly big team that's just going to hang on to the puck and whenever we get some quick forwards and speed down low that we have to continue to develop in that area. But you're exactly right. We have to sustain more. We have to make them play more in their offensive zone the next time we play them. We had a lot of one and dones. We got in their zone, made a play, got it to the net. And next thing you know, we're chasing it the other way. And I think the quickness and speed would be one thing that we're going to have to. And Linus's absence to the lineup is certainly something that we could use back in there. But yeah, that's as big of a defensive group that we played, and they're strong and they're experienced. They got an older team, and again we're young, and we're still growing, and if we can learn from this weekend and improve as we go along the season, I'd like to see where we're at next time we play them.
Tony, you kind of just touched on it. Do you find it beneficial to kind of have your guys go on the road again this week in another tough environment coming out of that Ohio State season?
I mean, I think, the most important thing, again, from last weekend's losses were that what we get out of it, we put into practice this week, and we get ready to try to, grow as a team. And going to Michigan, I don't know, what are they ranked, 10? What's Michigan now? 14. So there'll be a team that all year long will be in the mix of being a tournament team. They got a player on their team in Hughes that was a 7th pick or 6th pick in the NHL draft that's as good a player as there is in college hockey that we'll have to be aware of. So every week's a challenge, and I think I'm excited at the fact that we get a chance to go into a building like that and see if what we experienced last weekend helps us moving forward.
A couple times in the last few weeks, you've given up a second goal after giving up a first goal, and it seemed like for a while there you were able to have good shifts after goals.
Mm-hmm.
Hadn't had that happen much, but it seems like it takes a toll when it does happen. Is there anything you can stress or ask for out of to have those shifts after goals, go better?
Yeah, it is. It's three games in a row. You're right, and the momentum in college hockey is more significant than it is in the NHL, maybe at different levels. And that's one thing that we're going to have to, when another team gets on a little bit of a roll, we're going to have to find ways to stop it quick. Going through the experiences of understanding the importance of that next shift and grinding it out and maybe changing your approach a little bit and thinking, okay, let's establish a forecheck. Let's be more disciplined on the physical part of it, of not allowing a chance to get in on our end, whatever it is. But we have to be better at that area because it has been 3 games in a row. And the Minnesota one was after Daniel get knocked into the net and he got rattled a little bit, and the next 2 shots go in, and he stops 57 to 58. The rest of that weekend. So that is a learning curve again. I don't want to keep saying we're young, but that's part of it, and that's part of the growing process is understanding those situations and the importance of the next shift after a goal.
Are your guys still in the frame of mind you think that they are, feel like they're learning, that they're taking in these lessons, that you can see that it's clicking with them?
Well, I mean, you lose 2 games and you go through a stretch where you're not getting results. Of course, your morale and your spirit isn't quite as good as it was when you're winning those games. So that's the job of us as coaches and our leaders and our players to focus on what we can control, and that's moving forward. Our practice habits are what we put into it this week will determine whether we play well this weekend. That's what happened in the past. So again, the reason we are in this, the reason we have these teams on our schedule and the excitement of being able to play top teams every weekend is the challenge of each and every week having to reset yourself to focus on the next challenge and not look back on what just happened. So, it's an opportunity for us to grow as a team. That's the only way we can use it and look at it. You got it. You can have one more, Todd. They're all good ones.
Promise this is the last one. Penalty kill seems like you've had troubles. At the start of it, face-offs haven't gone well. Face-offs seem like they could be more critical in penalty kill because it's just extra time you have to spend in your zone or defending. Do you see that as an issue at all? Is there any way you can make that better?
Yeah, generally speaking, and we have lots of freshmen on our PK unit. Lots of guys that are first year in college hockey, and you look at the other team's power plays. Most of the power plays have upperclassmen on it. So just that part of it, we have to understand. We're not going to win every one of them. When we do lose them, we have to be in position to defend, or we have to find a way to neutralize the draws and have a winger or defenseman come in and help us on that. So I think we've lost lots of draws. I think that's pretty obvious on the stats. It's an area that we have to get better at, and we will work on it to get better at. And I do think, if you look at our Senneman, Mersch, and Messner and Caulfield on the PK side of things, they're all guys that will get stronger, will get better, and will learn on how to be more productive in the face-off circle.